You got to be thinking the right things. You got to be doing the right things. Because if you're thinking the right things and doing the right things, you're going to create the right results. You can't go through life thinking the right shit, doing the right shit, and accidentally produce the wrong results. Right? Now, sometimes we don't want to acknowledge that. We want to pretend that, oh, I'm thinking I'm doing everything right, I'm thinking everything right, and somehow it's bullshit. 99% of the life that we lead is a reflection of what we cause, permit, or allow. It may be easy to point to the leads, the weather, the competition, the suppliers, the ex-wife, the stepmom, whatever the bullshit is. It's very easy to look at those things and say, well, if only they had done this, if only they had done that. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's all bullshit and irrelevant. Because the truth is, we've all been knocked around, we've all been kicked in the teeth, we've all got the scars to prove it. You've been fucked over, you've been lied to, you've been betrayed, you've been tricked, and if we're perfectly honest, we've probably done some of that ourselves. If we're just really, really like gut-wrenchingly honest. Nobody's above reproach, nobody's perfect. There's one man that walked this planet perfectly, and it ain't me and it ain't you. All the excuses are bullshit. You get your choice in life to do one of two things. You can live your life by default. In other words, it just happens like, holy f***, where'd this kid come from? Or how'd I get this business? You know, or whatever. How'd I get this much money in the bank or not? Like somehow just happening to you. And you're observing your life, it's just happening, it's got a life of its own. The people, the circumstances, the situations just show up, and we observe it and comment on it and think whatever we think about it. We think our relationships, that, oh, I just happened to meet this girl, or I just happened to open this business, or I just happened to get this job. That's default. And the reality is you got 85 years on this planet, and it takes you 40 years to figure out what's going on. It's a cruel joke. You think you know what's happening in your 20s. You think you know what's happening in your 30s. Around mid-40s, it's like, holy shit. It takes you that long to figure out relationships, kids, marriage, money, business. And by then, you're halfway through. You got 85 years, if you're lucky. If you're fortunate, you got about 85 good years, maybe 90 or 95 if you got unicorn genes. Most of it's at 75 to 85. I'm 62 a couple of weeks ago, and it's like I'm pretty realistic about the number of years I got left. So I married a really young wife so she can push me around in my wheelchair and take care of me. So a lot of people live their life by default. I did it for 30 some odd years. I thought I was an observer to my own life, right? Like, wow, look how up he is. What'd you do this time? How the hell did you get here? Right? Like I was just a person observing what was happening in my life because I lived my life by default. It should come as no great surprise to you. I was broke. I was miserable. I was homeless. I was incarcerated. It was a really, really shitty life. Because it was just random. It was by default, whatever happened. Right? If somebody came in my life, I didn't stop and think, okay, is this a good association or a bad association? It's funny because you get this your parents are stuck in your head. My mom, who was a deeply religious person, she used to say, bad association spoils useful habits. I'm like, Mom, what kind of stupid bullshit is that? At 42, I'm like, bad association spoil useful habits. She was right. People come into your life, though, if you're on default, they just come into your life like, this is my new buddy. Employees, I think I'll hire you. We don't really evaluate it and say, okay, is this relationship, is this person, is it consistent with my plan? Usually no. Why? Because there is no plan. We're on default. And I'm not saying that means everything's bad in your life. You probably have a great spouse, probably got some cute kids, some good hunting buddies. I'm not saying it's all bad. But did it just happen, or did you design it? Did you design it? What you're looking at here is 30 years of design. You ever see those funny posts on Facebook? HVAC paid for it? This is the ultimate HVAC paid for it. All of this, everything I have in my life is a result of the residential HVAC and plumbing industry. Everything. But it didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen by default, although I will acknowledge the HVAC industry specifically was a little bit of a default, because I didn't know when I walked out of the penitentiary after 13 years exactly who was going to hire me. I knew who wasn't going to hire me. It wasn't going to be IBM or Microsoft or, Chase Bank because of my record. That wasn't happening. So I knew that my professional prospects were going to be in small mom and pop contracting companies. I don't know how I knew. I didn't know shit about contracting. I figured it would be because they're not going to have the policies in place that an IBM or Chase Bank and whatever would have. And I was right. I found a shot in the HVAC space as a comfort advisor without knowing what the hell I was doing. I'd been 6 months living in a shelter, knocking on doors every day. It took about 6 months, and I walked in the doors of a little HVAC company here in town. I was living in a homeless shelter not 10 miles from here, and I walked into an HVAC company about 5 miles over here, and the guy said, "I'll give you a shot. I think you've changed your life." And I went out, and my very first, with about 4 days of training, not knowing the first thing I was doing, and I went out and sold $149,000 in my very first month, right? Which is good. I mean, it was summertime. It was July of 2003, although a little more of a heating market. But in July, August, it gets a little warm here. People will buy an occasional air conditioner, right? $149,000. You know what our average ticket was back in 2003? Anybody remember? About $7,000 for a full system. I mean, we had guys in town for $4,500. Basic 10-seer, basic single 80, and electrical hookup, $4,500, And so that was the industry back then. It's changed a lot, and while a lot of us have complained about the increase in prices, I've been grateful for it, because if I'm operating on a gross profit dollars per day, it's easier if my equipment costs $10,000 than if it costs $3,000, because everybody's got to pay the $10,000 for the equipment. Now, some will undersell it and underprice it, but at least they got to be in the ballpark with me, because they got to pay the same 10 grand for the shit that we used to pay $3,500 for, or whatever. So what happened for me, and by the way, that'd be about 350 grand in today's dollars, first month of the business, because I had the two things that mattered most. I had the mindset and I had a plan. I didn't live my life by default. I stopped living my life by default in 1996. I was in a prison cell in the federal prison system. I'd already done about 6 years in the state joint for robbery, attempted murder, gun charges, you name it. I was not a Boy Scout. I wasn't in there for jaywalking or whatever. I was in there for some pretty serious shit. I was a pretty big knucklehead when I was young. And so I'd done about 6.5 years in the state of Colorado in the penitentiary, and I got out. I got caught up in some illegal telemarketing and got convicted on federal mail fraud charges. And they sentenced me to the federal penitentiary for about 7 years. But when I got to the federal penitentiary in 1996, something happened. My father passed away, June 10th of 1996. I was sitting in my cell, cops knocks on the door, opens it up, pops me out, calls me out, and says, "Hey, I've got some bad news for you. Your father just passed away." This was a very unexpected thing for me. He was 59 years old, younger than I am today. And it got me to thinking. For the first time in my life, I started thinking about what I think about. And I realized at that point that I had been living my life completely on default. Tommy Geske will tell you he's known me since I was 17. I just kind of roll with the punches. Whatever came next, whatever happened next, I just went along with it. And if it worked out, I was lucky. If it didn't work out, I was unlucky, because I didn't have a plan. So you get to have a choice in this life. You can live it by default and be an observer, or you can live it on purpose and design your shit and execute on what you got to do to get where you want to go. And that's what you're going to learn how to do here today and tomorrow. The sales process is an important part of it, but the conversation we're going to have this morning is 100 times more important. We're going to talk about the plan, the purpose, the intention, the mindset that is created to overcome any adversity and thrive in the face of any f***ing obstacle. And I promise you, when you have what I call the prosperity mindset, a mindset that can thrive and prosper in the face of any bullshit, you have the key to the motherfucking kingdom. because nothing will hold you back. Nothing will deter you from achieving your primary purpose in life if you have a plan. If you're living by default, who knows what's going to happen. But if you got a plan and you got the prosperity mindset, let's say, for example, we're here in Colorado Springs. And let's say my wife was in Kansas City. And I got a phone call from a hospital and said, your wife has just been severely injured. And she may or may not make it. Her only chance is we got to have one of your kidneys or whatever. How bad do I want to get to Kansas City? How bad do I want to make it there on a scale of 1 to 10? 100, right? Even if she's a bitch, it's at least a 90. Like, I got to act like I'm interested. Only kidding. There's nothing in the world that would stop me from getting to Kansas City. Because I really, really want to be there because I love my wife and I want to give her my kidney or whatever I can do to save her life. Now, suppose I get on the highway and I get up here on I-70 and I get halfway through Kansas, get to Goodland, Kansas, and I have a flat tire, an obstacle. Do I say, well, I tried, honey, but I got a flat. I got to go back to Colorado Springs. Is that what I do? What do? Get it fixed, I get back on the road. Then a freaking tornado comes through the Kansas wheat field and blows my car off the highway. I end up in a wheat field. I get my head knocked in. I can't even, not even for sure, but I'm alive. Do I call my wife and say, babe, I really tried, but the obstacles were just too big to overcome? Is that what I do? Like, nope, hitchhiking, fix my car, get me an Uber, steal a car, whatever I got to do, I'm getting to Kansas City. That's how bad you got to want the shit in your life that you want. You got to want that income, that family, that situation, that mental image you have of what your life is in your perfection, not anybody else's. But you got to want it so bad that you can't stand to have some obstacles that are going to stop you. You got to pretend like it's your fucking kid in the hospital that needs a heart transplant, only you can give it to him. Is there anything that's going to stop you? That's how bad you got to want shit. That's living by design. I have a specific destination, Kansas City. Why? Because my wife there's dying. I'm going there. And nothing's going to stop me. Except if I die. Or if I give up. Say, I really tried. I really tried to get there.